Guys, I want to welcome everyone to another Owner Finance Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time. My name is Dan Diaz. I am your host. Guys, I really want to apologize because, I didn't realize that barbers are not available on Mondays. That was my bad. I had no idea that barbers are not available on Mondays. So I want to apologize. That's kind of the situation we're in. I need a haircut super bad, but it is what it is. I want to welcome everyone to another Owner Finance Your Way to Freedom, one note at a time. My name is Dan Diaz. I am your host. I'm super excited to be with everyone. As always, we're using a service called StreamYard, so I want to hear your comments, but I also want to know who you're from, who you are. So if you can please give StreamYard permission to share your information with Facebook, that would be super awesome. And in the comments, if you guys can tell me where you're from and what's your market, that'd be great. I always like to get to know the audience. A little bit about myself. For those who don't know me, my name is Dan Diaz. I was born in Mexico City, raised in San Antonio, Texas. I began my real estate investing career in November of 2015. I knew nothing about real estate at the time, but I consider myself a problem solver and a solution seeker. My first deal generated me $80,000 in upfront profit and a $400 monthly spread. And guys, I was absolutely hooked. H-Town, Facebook user. I don't know who you are. So please let StreamYard have permission to give your identifying information. Now I mostly raise private capital to fund owner finance transactions. I teach seller financing as an acquisitions tool. And I do buy as much single family homes, small commercial assets, land that we can get our work on. My name is Chris. I'm working in San Antonio market. Hey, Mr. Chris, good to connect with you. I'm also in San Antonio. We mostly buy in and around San Antonio, but an aspect of our company that you might not be aware of is that we do fund owner finance transactions. So if you have a buyer who needs owner financing in San Antonio, Austin, DFW, and Houston and surrounding, what we can do is we can raise the private money for them to purchase any home off the MLS. We'll hold the note long-term, 30 years, no balloons, no prepayment penalties, no PMI. Really great terms. A little bit on the personal side, I consider myself an owner finance fanatic. I am not a guru. I am not an end-all be-all, even though I probably have a lot more experience than most of the individuals who are listening to me today. Not everyone, but I absolutely consider myself an owner finance fanatic and a student. I love a good dry red wine, a stiff scotch, a cold beer, good company, international travel, a bloody red steak, regular road trips. I miss my road trips for sure. My beautiful wife and I have been married for a little over 3 years. No kids. We do have a red heeler for a pet. It's hers. I don't like it and it don't like me. Why was this group created? I believe as the financial markets change, our survival will depend on our ability to swim these tumultuous and uncertain seas. Moving forward, I believe that acquiring properties with seller financing will be paramount to growing our portfolio and yours. That's why this group was created. Octavio! Yes, it works now. I know who you are now. What can you expect to get out of this group? I've made a personal commitment to use this platform to share our experience, our tools, and our skills to help you sharpen your own creative financial acquisition teeth. I want to make sharks out of you guys. Now, I know that term may be thrown around here and there, but to me, a shark is actually an acronym for somebody who S, succeeds mercilessly. H, hates mediocrity. A, accepts no excuses. R, resolves to be action takers. K, kills their bad habits. And S, shares what they learn here. Good to have you, Mr. Sammy Prieto from Lubbock, Texas. I see you doing some deals out in Lubbock. Good job. What do I expect from you guys? Real simple, to be sharks. I expect you guys to be sharks. There are expectations for everyone in the group. Let's get to know the group a little bit. It was started April 25th of 2020, when COVID kind of started. 0 members at the time. We are now grown to over 3,800 active members. And guys, I didn't do that by myself. Those of you who saw value in this group have honored me by sharing this group with your real estate investor related friends. So if you guys see value in this group and you guys see value, please, please, please like and share this video on your personal page. And also, please invite your real estate investor focused friends. That will be my way of feeling honored. We recently had a contest of bringing your friends to the group, and there's a few people who stand out. Thank you so much to everyone who participated. However, I do want to praise a few people. Ariane Villanueva invited over 600 people. Clayton Newston, Victor Avila, Liana Alcock, Jared Frankham, Sandra Fernandez, Rosa Elena Tejeda, David Zuniga, Chris Colton, Chante Black, Sammy Prieto, Junior Octavio, and Jordan Suter. All of you guys invited well over 100 people each. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And y'all don't know it, but as a reward, we're doing a small mastermind for those winners of the contest. We had our first session last Saturday. We're going to have the next section next Saturday, and we're going to have one right after that. For those of y'all who didn't participate, y'all suck. I'm just saying that outright. So thank you so much for that. The goal, guys, is to get to 10,000 members as quickly as possible. That is absolutely my first goal. And if you guys see value in this group, please share it. Like and share this video on your personal pages, and also like and invite your friends as well. Well, guys, on to this week's questions. And by the way, these questions are not mine. You guys post them. You guys shared them in the group. I used my VA to kind of weed through them, pull them out, put them together. We're going to discuss them today. And man, these are really, really good questions. So we've got a ton of material to cover, and I'm super, super excited. Before we get into the questions, help me out, like and share this video on your personal pages. Let's go ahead and start. First question was brought to us by Mr. Aaron Martinez. He says, after closing on a seller finance deal, can you then rehab the property to full ARV, which he says it's about $180,000, then refinance 80-20 rule, and then seller finance to an end occupant for the ARV? So here's a couple of questions that you're asking, and it's okay. These are all great questions, but it's important that we kind of break them down into what's really going on. Aaron, by the way, he's one of the students who's took the 10-hour owner finance training, and if you guys want information about that, hit me up on the DMs. But his question is, first of all, can you rehab it? You can do whatever the hell you want, of course. You can rehab it up to the full ARV. Can you then refinance it? I don't know. I mean, that's up to you. I imagine you should be able to refinance it with a conventional lender. Can you then owner finance it to an end buyer? Yes, you absolutely can, using an instrument called a wrap mortgage. Now, be aware, you are not going to be doing this. You're not going to be doing this with the lender's permission. That's your choice. Now, if you don't have the lender's permission to wrap their financing, you may have issues with the due on sale clause. Pretty much every mortgage in America has what's called the DOSC, due on sale clause. How you're going to navigate it if the lender calls it due, that's something that you're going to have to figure out on your own. There's a couple different ways in which you can navigate it. I don't necessarily know whether one is better than the other. One of the ways that one of the things you should do is when you owner finance it to the end buyer, I highly recommend that you originate 2 notes. The first note for the debt and the second one for your profit. When you do this, the first note is a lower LTV, which if you use an Rmlo, which if you do a decent interest rate, which if you close with a title company or an attorney, if you do all those things, then you should have a pretty nice marketable note. And if you do get the loan called due, it's pretty easy for you to raise the capital. You sell the note, and you still keep the second note for your cash flow, which is super nice. Another way, which is kind of non-conventional, but talk to the owner finance buyer. A solution would be to deed the property right back to you, send the documentation, the file deed to the lender. That way they're happy, and then go ahead and put the deed back in the owner finance buyer's name. There has to be a level of trust, obviously. You know, they got to trust you. You got to trust them. You got to do the right thing. But that's another way to do it. A third way would be to take the note that you have and hypothecate it. Go to a local community bank, build a relationship, ask for a loan, apply for a loan, pledging not the house, because you don't own the house anymore, but pledging the debt as collateral. So that's another way to raise the necessary capital to do it. So absolutely you can, just be aware of the way it's done. Norberto, another student of ours who's taken the 10-hour owner finance training. He's got a question. Owner finance buyers are wanting to buy the insurance on their own. I don't know quite well how this part works with me as a lender. Can I force place insurance with a proper structure? You can, I guess, but you shouldn't. According to lending law now, the owner finance buyer, or any buyer actually, they have the right to choose their own insurance company. So then the question becomes is, how do you structure it with the previous lender if you purchased it subject to? I'm going to go ahead and share with you guys the way we've structured our insurance. I don't know if this is the only way to structure it, but it's the way that has worked for us each and every time. So here it goes. If we're going to keep it as a rental or a buy and hold or an Airbnb or a lease option, bottom line, if we're buying it and keeping it under our name, the way the insurance works is name insured is going to be whoever is on the deed. So it's going to be you, the investor, Tomatoro Ventures and Acquisitions, or whoever it is you are. The mortgagee is going to remain as is. That's the underlying lender, Wells Fargo or Mr. Cooper, or whoever it is that they are. And really the biggest change is the additional insured is going to be the seller. They're going to be the additional insured. Now, after the seller's name, you're going to write ISAOA, ISAOA, ATIMA. I totally forgot what that stands for, but basically it's a legal acronym that kind of talks about, that kind of includes anyone who has any liens or interests in the property. Now, if you're going to be wrapping it to an end user, owner, occupant, the insurance, the way we've structured it, goes as follows. The name insured, the owner finance buyer. The name insured, the owner finance buyer. Primary mortgagee, no change. It's the underlying mortgage. Wells Fargo, Mr. Cooper, PennyMac, local community bank, whatever. Second mortgagee, that's going to be you, the investor, or whatever entity you used. You, the investor, is going to be the second mortgagee, and the additional insured is going to be the seller, ISAOA, ITIMA, in as much as the interest lies or something like that. So anyways, that's how the insurance is set up. That's how we set it up, I should say. It works every time. Basically, when you submit it to the lender's going to say, oh, okay, additional insured is the seller. That's the name of the borrower. We're good. We're golden. You got to remember, these are $12 an hour people. They're not really paid to think. I mean, I hate to say it, but they're really not paid to think. So you just have to make sure that the original seller, the original borrower's name is somewhere in the insurance. You do not want to make them the name insured. You do not want to make them, they're not a mortgagee, unless that's how you set it up. I mean, I guess they could be a mortgagee if that's the way you set it up. We never set it up for them to be a mortgagee. They are, however, an additional insured. So kind of keep that in mind. Bhaskar has a question. If I have a probate lead, free and clear home, would the which the executor wants to sell, near fair market value, and I have an owner finance buyer. Is that something you would be interested in? Would you be able to sell that home and carry the note? Sure, of course. Talk to me. Send it my way for sure. Definitely love to take a look at it. Nice. You guys liking the content? Please like and share, guys. I need your help. Philip has a question. I'm getting over COVID. Hey guys, I got my COVID exam. Negativo. I am now COVID free. Still super tired, man. That COVID, it is no joke. It is no joke. Philip says, I have a potential seller who is willing to seller finance a property in Corpus Christi for $50,000. And the ARV on the home is approximately $125,000 with $20,000 in repairs. Problem is the deed. The seller was able to sell it years ago, but there was an unknown third party that intervened and somehow attached themselves to the title without her knowing. Can anyone recommend an attorney who can assist with clearing up the deed and make it so I can transfer the deed into my name? Absolutely, Philip. Reach out to Alan Seschker or Scott Horn. Or if you want me to buy it, I'd be happy to buy it too. But those are great resources. They're friends of the group. Use them. I would want to know who are they? Is it a mechanics lien? Is it a wholesaler that clouded the title? Man, if it's a wholesaler, I'd want to kick their nuts for sure. So I'd want to know who it was and how they attached without her knowing. That's an interesting, kind of situation. I bet she knows, but she's not really telling you. Gary Cooper, another student of ours. I've got a question. I'm working on my first seller finance deal. My understanding is that the docs needed to seller finance are as follows. Track 1 to 4 in Texas. That's correct, in Texas. If y'all are listening from outside of Texas, just use your state promulgated purchase agreement. The seller financing addendum, that's a TREC promulgated contract. And a power of attorney, is that correct? Are there any other docs? Are there any special clauses that need special provisions, any other documents? How exactly is the POA supposed to be structured? Who puts it together? Blah, 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 all that good stuff. So that's correct. Track 1 to 4 establishes that that's a purchase happening. Seller financing addendum is the seller financing portion. Now, if it's a subject to, you're going to need a subject to addendum because Track 1 to 4 and seller financing addendum really doesn't provide it. You can use the loan assumption addendum that TREC provides, but that is more intended for when you are going to do a lender approved assumption, which you're not if you're buying subject to. For my students, it's in your training, the subject to addendum that we use. So just go ahead and find it there and you can use it. Also, if it's a subject to, you're going to need a power of attorney and an authorization to release information. Also, if it's a subject to, you're going to need a notice of conveyance of residential property encumbered by lien pursuant to Texas Property Code 5.016. You're going to need other disclosures and documents, but don't worry, all of this will be provided by your attorney or title company. I'm just giving you the information of what it is that you need. Oh, by the way, Bhaskar says that Renee Sarazua might be able to help on that situation. So for sure, kind of keep that in mind. Going back to Gary's question, Track 1 to 4 seller financing addendum. Everything else will be provided by the attorneys for the title companies. You're going to get the purchase agreement and the seller financing addendum. Now, something that you guys may want to also consider are seller acknowledgements. Seller acknowledgements. This is not promulgated by TREC. This is something that you as a business owner need to start putting together. What kind of seller acknowledgements are you going to want the seller to acknowledge? I know that sounds silly, but These are your own seller acknowledgements. I'm going to share with you guys our seller closing acknowledgements. It's right here. No, these are not available for general distribution. I've paid thousands of dollars of attorneys. This was not the result of a sit down with one attorney. This is the result of sitting down with at least 3 or 4 over the last 4 years. And it's grown. You know, right now we're looking at a total of 23 acknowledgements. And it is notarized. That's a change we also did. So I'm going to share with you guys right now, but this is not, like, you guys have to figure out. You're a business owner. What kind of seller acknowledgements do you want your sellers to do? First one, ownership of the property. I am the owner of the property and I am legally able to contract the sale. 2, acceptance. I have reviewed the terms and conditions contained in the warranty deed and have accepted offers to purchase the property subject to the existing financing. 3, good and valuable consideration. I have received good and valuable consideration in signing the warranty deed, and I acknowledge both the receipt and sufficiency of the consideration. 4, in my best interest. I am satisfied with the warranty deed and have agreed to sell the property because it is in my best interest to do so. 5, fully informed and not confused. I have signed the warranty deed being fully informed and with sufficient understanding of all the terms and conditions contained therein. I am not confused about any aspect of this agreement. I speak English fluently. Ask me how I know I needed to include that as a seller's acknowledgement. 6, satisfied with the sales price. I understand that I may be selling the property for less than market value, but I have chosen to do so because circumstances dictate that an immediate sale, even at a discounted price, is in fact in my best interest. I am satisfied with the sales price I have negotiated. 7, sale is final. I understand by signing the warranty deed, I have agreed to sell the property to the buyer, and I am now bound by the terms and conditions described in the warranty deed. I further understand that I cannot change my mind or cancel the warranty deed at some later date, nor can I continue to market the property to any other buyer. I no longer own the property, period. 8, not alone. I understand the warranty deed I have signed is for the outright sale of the property and is not intended to be a loan of any kind. 9, no escrow company. I understand buyer may choose to close this transaction without the use of an escrow or title company and may record the, I can never say, conveyance documents himself or herself. 10, closing documents. I understand there may be additional closing documents to sign and upon receipt agree to sign and deliver the closing documents either into escrow or directly to buyer, as buyer may direct in a timely manner. 11, copies of paperwork. I understand the copies of the paperwork I've signed will be provided to me in a timely manner, and I acknowledge that circumstances dictate that copies may not be immediately available to me, especially with foreclosures. 12, buyer entitled to make a profit. I understand buyer, a real estate investor, may assign, sell, resell, lease with option to buy, owner finance, rent, or otherwise dispose of the property with the full expectation of a profit. I agree buyer is entitled to any profit that may ultimately result from the subsequent assignment, sale, resale of the property, or to any rents, leases, or other income derived from the transacting of this property. 13, legal counsel advice. Guys, if you guys are liking this, I want you to share it. Share the video, por favor. Legal advice. 13, legal counsel advice. I acknowledge buyer has advised me to seek independent legal counsel to review the offer to purchase. 14, fairly negotiated. I understand buyer has negotiated on his behalf and I likewise have negotiated on mine. I acknowledge the warranty deed has been negotiated fairly and buyer has not taken advantage of me in any way, shape, or form, or of my current situation. 15, no precluding ailments. I certify that I have no physical, mental, or emotional ailments that preclude me from signing the warranty deed. 16, not under the influence. I am not now under the influence of alcohol or any other mind-altering substance, legal or illegal, nor am I taking medication at the clot of my judgment or that make me unable to think clearly. 17, no other promises. I have not been promised anything other than what is described in the warranty deed. There are no unresolved issues, no other agreements, nor are there any other terms not disclosed in the warranty deed, verbal or otherwise. 18, not under duress. I am not under duress and have signed the warranty deed, release of information, and power of attorney of my own free will, without any undue financial pressure. Buyer has in no way pressured me into signing the above documents. I have freely signed them on my own. 19, due on sale clause. I understand that the loan on my home might be called due by the lender and that the buyer is not guaranteeing that they will pay off the loan if this happens. The buyer has no intentions of defaulting on the loan or harming the seller's credit. The buyer cannot, however, guarantee that the loan will not be called due when the transfer takes place. The buyer will, however, assist the seller in trying to figure out a solution with the mortgage company if this situation were to arise. The buyer will attempt in good faith to negotiate any secondary liens or additional judgments. 20, loan in my name. I understand that the loan for this property will stay in my name, and it could stay in my name until the loan is matured. The buyer has the right to keep the loan in my name for the length of the remaining loan time. I understand and accept this might affect my ability to secure additional credit at some future time. 21, the goal of the buyer. I understand that the buyer of the property has the intention to sell the property via owner financing with a wrap mortgage, or lease the property, or sell the property outright to a new buyer, or sell the property with a lease option agreement with a new buyer. I understand that this goal might change in the future. However, if there are any tenants in the home, I agree to not stop by, visit, or disrupt their enjoyment of the property in any way, shape, or form. I understand I don't own the home any longer and have no rights to the property. Insurance coverage. I will not cancel the current homeowner insurance policy. Buyer may choose to maintain existing coverage. 23, fully satisfied with agreement. I am fully satisfied with all terms and conditions contained in this agreement, in this document, the warranty deed, the release of information, and limited power of attorney. Guys, these are our most current seller acknowledgements. It has grown over time. It is not perfect. It is not complete because it continues to grow. The reason I shared this with you guys is because I want you guys to know that it is your responsibility as an investor and as a business owner to make a determination as to what is necessary to protect your interests. I'm happy to tell you and share with you what we do, but it is up to you guys to do that, and I highly recommend that you guys do that. We got a couple comments. Dropping nuggets from Facebook user. I don't know who you are. Guys, if you feel this way, please, please share, like, comment, share this video on your personal page. Invite your friends over. Chevelle, how do you believe Biden's extension of the mortgage foreclosure moratorium, you probably mean moratorium, till June 30th, 2021 affects real estate investors? It doesn't. It doesn't protect owner finance transactions. It only protects federally backed loans. I let my owner finance people know, hey, what y'all hear in the news, it does not protect y'all. You don't pay, you don't stay. I can foreclose in 41 days in Texas. Houston, Texas, all over Texas, multiple states. Let me know about the leads you do not want. I'd love to. Facebook user. I don't know who you are. Good question, guys. Good questions. Moving along, because we got plenty of information. Gary, I hope that answers your question. Trey Thornton, can I owner finance to someone else even though there is a mortgage in the property? Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to be using a wrapped financing instrument to go ahead and do that, but you absolutely can. Oh man, I got an important call, guys. I'll turn my phone down. I'd like to apologize. Turn my phone down. That was rude of me. You absolutely can. So Hale, that's Ray. Ray who? There is no share button. Oh, I think until the video ends. I think that's weird that there is no share button. I'm gonna get that checked out for sure. Good question, Trey. Sammy, one of our students as well, got a question. I have a situation where one of my partners is negotiating with a seller. They purchased the seller for $180,000. The seller actually bought the property for an owner finance seller. They have put down at least 10% and are a little over 3 years into the amortization schedule, and it's at 9.5% interest. They owe $147,000. Comps in the area are 190 to 200. So it looks like there's a little bit of equity. They have really improved the place, remodeled the kitchen. A few questions. Has anyone purchased a property on terms with a seller who bought through an owner finance transaction? If so, will the due on sale clause increase the chance since it's an owner finance deal? Great question. Essentially, what Sammy wants to know is, can you take subject to if it's an owner finance transaction to begin with? The answer is absolutely, you can. But the likelihood of the loan being called due is much higher. It's as simple as that. It's much higher because owner finance investors, like for example, myself, if one of y'all take one of my deals subject to, I'm going to find out because I do audits every year. And I'm sure most owner finance sellers will as well. However, here's a little bit of a golden nugget. That shouldn't automatically stop you from doing the deal. I would take that as an opportunity to talk to the owner finance investor and find out, hey, one of your owner finance buyers, they want to sell. What's your situation? Do you like the monthly mortgage payments? Can we continue that arrangement? Right now they're current, but it's possible that they might not be current. Do you want to deal with the foreclosure situation? Do you know how to deal with it? What's your situation? Here's a little tidbit. I have found private lenders through transactions that were originally owner finance deals. So yes, the due on sale clause will probably be an issue, much more. You know, they're keeping an eyes on their properties. That's their business. But I would not be stopped. I would not automatically throw it away. As a matter of fact, I would take it as an opportunity to talk to them. You already know they like owner financing. Maybe they're open to a simple change of the name. Maybe you can fully assume the loan. Assuming the loan with an owner finance investor, it's as simple as signing a document. It can be. Not with me. Don't try to do that stuff with me. But with the regular seller, it's like, hey, we got a situation. The owner finance buyer, they want to walk out. They don't want to leave you hanging. They want to sell to us. We're interested. We'd like to take the property over subject to. You think we can do that? So the conversations are much easier with owner finance sellers. I would definitely go ahead and do that. There's a couple people in the comments that are asking about the training. Just hit me up on the DMs later, guys. It's less than $300. It's 10 hours of phenomenal deep stuff. And you guys are able to keep it. You can post your questions in the group, and then I can kind of personally answer them. Facebook user, I wanted to see if you saw my question regarding lenders and owners insurance. I don't know who you are. So if you can let me know who you are, that'd be great. We still got plenty of other questions to go through. Sammy Prieto says, so worth it. Such a fan. Man, I love the work he's doing out in Lubbock. That's super awesome. Next question. Hope, Trey, that answers your question. Sammy, hope that answers your question. Don't be afraid to go after them. Do it. Have a conversation for sure. Ray Pantek says, maybe they have other seller finance loans that are not performing. Maybe they're out of state. Yeah. Anytime I find an owner finance seller or an owner finance investor, to me, it's a conversation. It's somebody else that I want to connect with, that I want to know, hey, what are you doing? How can I help you? How can I bring you value? How can we connect? How can we collaborate? You know, it's It's super, super impactful. Chavel, you don't recommend sub-2 transactions, yet I believe you do recommend that we as real estate investors buy a house for ourselves subject to strategies. That's correct. So what Chavel means, I don't talk about subject to transactions in the context of it being an entry-level strategy. Subject to is not an entry-level strategy, and more so if you're going to wrap it. Now, if you're going to buy it subject to and you're going to hold it as a rental, that's a cleaner transaction, much more doable. But it's not that I don't recommend it, Chavel. It's I don't talk about it because many in my audience are novice. This is their one deal, and there's been a lot of buzz around subject to being something as an entry-level situation. It is not an entry-level situation. Now, regarding personal residence, I think that would be the smartest thing that real estate investors can do. I don't know why y'all have mortgages. I don't have a mortgage. I bought 3 of my personal properties subject to. So absolutely, I think it's a great, great situation. From Cole, not sure why my name isn't showing up. I think you need to give permission to StreamYard. I keep going back and forth, getting owner and lender title insurance on my wraps. Does it make the note better to sell with insurance? Absolutely. You need to make sure that there is insurance somehow, some way. I need to make sure that everyone is covered. You need to make sure you're covered. You need to make sure that the owner finance buyer is covered, and you need to make sure that the seller is covered, and you need to make sure that the lender, the original underlying lender, is covered. If you guys have any questions on insurance and you don't know where to go, Manny Longoria from Goosehead Insurance. He's in the group. Hit him up. He can take care of your insurance questions for sure. Guys, we got more questions. I'm super excited. Andrew, I'm sure my next note will be over the 3 within 365 days. I've heard about the Dodd-Frank rule saying that I can't do that. Is there a way around that or exception or some other way to do it? So what he wants to know is there a way around the Dodd-Frank requirement to use an Rmlo? What he's referring to is called the de minimis origination exception to Dodd-Frank. I'm just going to read you guys straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. CFPB Reg Sections 1026.36, subsection A, paragraph 4 and 5, provide a de minimis exceptions for individuals who do only one transaction in any 12-month period, or for entities such as LLCs who do 3 or fewer owner finance transactions in any 12-month period. The exception is accomplished by stating that such persons or entities are not included within the definition of loan originators. So what does this mean? What Dodd-Frank basically means is if you're an entity and you do 3 or more, you need to be a loan originator, or you need to hire one. That's the exception to the rule. Section 4 says a person as defined by section 1026.2, subsection A, paragraph 22, that meets all of the following criteria is not a loan originator under paragraph subsection A1 of this section. The person provides seller financing for the sale of 3 or fewer properties in any 12-month period to purchasers of such properties, each of which is owned by the person and serves as security for the financing. The person has not constructed or acted as a contractor for the construction of a residence on the property in the ordinary course of business of the person. The person provides seller financing that meets the following requirements. The financing is fully amortizing, so no balloons. The financing is one that the person determines in good faith the consumer has a reasonable ability to repay. The financing has a fixed rate or an adjustable rate that is adjustable after 5 or more years, subject to reasonable annual and lifetime limitations on interest rate increases. If the financing agreement has an adjustable rate, the rate is determined by the addition of a margin to an index rate and is subject to reasonable rate adjustment limitations. The index of adjustable rate is based on a widely available index, such as the indices for U.S. Treasury securities or LIBOR. The most important thing to note here about the exception is that the lender must comply with the ability to repay rule. So, what does all this mean? If you're doing 3 or less, you technically don't need to be an Rmlo and you technically don't need to hire one. However, that doesn't mean you get away from the job of the Rmlo, which is essentially to comply with the ability to repay rule. So here's my question, Mr. Andrew and others. Can you defend your position in front of a judge, if need be, and say, yes, Mr. Judge, according to section 126.2, subsection A, paragraph 22, the consumer proved to have a reasonable ability to repay? You still have to document that. Can you do that? I can't. So then what do? I hire an Rmlo. Because if you're ever in front of a judge, your answer is going to be like, Judge, I don't know if he can repay, but I got this third party licensed individual by the state of Texas or whatever state you're in that made sure we abide by all federal and state regulations, including Dodd-Frank and SAFE Act. And according to them, yes, they did demonstrate a reasonable ability to repay. So whether you're doing 1 or 100, always, I shared all this just to say always. Don't look for exceptions. Don't look for loopholes. That's how you end up in an orange jumpsuit. Look for ways to comply and go above and beyond to comply. That's what we do. That's what we do. And that's what I suggest that you guys do as well. Y'all are liking this stuff? Share the video. Like it, comment, create a buzz. One more question for the night. We've got Mr. John Williams. He's also a student who took the 10-hour owner finance training. By the way, that's going to go up, guys. I'm doing some changes to it, but it's going to go up from $297 to more than $297. So I highly recommend that you guys take advantage of it. His question is, what determines how we structure a wrap? 80-20, 75-25, 80-10-10. So what he's talking about is this. When you buy a property subject to, there's going to be an underlying debt. Let's say for the sake of simplicity, that the underlying debt is $100,000. Let's say for the sake of simplicity, it's $100,000. And let's say you owner finance it for $150,000. What I suggest is that you go and wrap the first debt of $100,000 into the first lien. Technically, it's the second lien because the original underlying debt is the first one. And then the profit, which is the $50,000, into a third note. Second for the owner finance buyer, but a third one in the whole chain of commands. So then you would have your first note at $100,000 to wrap your debt, maybe 103, maybe 105, because there's always going to be a discount if you need to sell it. And then wrap your profit of $50,000 into the second note. Why is this valuable? 2 reasons. One, if you ever have to raise the necessary capital to go ahead and pay Wells Fargo, that's calling your note due, then you can go ahead and sell the first note at a lower LTV, which will make it infinitely more marketable. The lower LTV note is going to be maybe at 70%, 72, 75, 80%, 60%, 65%, whatever the LTV is. But it'll make it it'll make it far more valuable, and they will discount it even less. And as a kicker, you still get to keep your cash flow in the form of the second note. Now, here's a little bit of a nugget that you might not be aware of. If you want to go ahead and do a QM, low qualified mortgage, you can technically go up to 6.5% over APR on the first one. But on the second one, you can go up to 8.5% above APR. So you can actually create the second note that you're going to be keeping at a higher interest rate and increase your cash flow. The second reason you want to go ahead and do this always is because it gives the owner finance buyers a greater opportunity at refinancing. The old adage, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So now you're giving them 2 bites. Instead of 1 large note to refinance, you're giving them 2 notes to refinance. And because the first one is at a lower LTV, the chances of them refinancing is, again, much higher, which ultimately will help you. So anyways, I go in deep in the 10-hour owner finance training on dual note origination. Again, if somebody's interested, hit me up on the DMs, and we'll go ahead and take care of you guys. But his question is, what determines it? It's your debt and the down payment also. So for example, let's say that you owner finance a property for $200,000, and they gave you $20,000 as the down payment. And let's say that the underlying debt is $130,000, just hypothetically. The first note would be for $130,000. The second note is going to be for $50,000, and then you're keeping the down payment. Or you can take that down payment, pay down the first note. So you take down the balance of $130,000 to $110,000. You go ahead and wrap $110,000, and then the second note would be for the $80,000 that are remaining. So anyways, there's a couple different ways, but to answer your question, how do you structure the final note? It depends on your debt, and it depends on the down payment. And then what's left over is going to be the second note that you're going to originate. Sammy says, so is 70, 20, 10 best? It depends. What if your underlying debt is more than 70%? Well, you don't want to do it less than the underlying debt. What if their down payment is more than 10%? You know? So again, how the actual structure is, it depends on what the underlying debt is. That's going to be your first wrap note. And I don't know what percentage it is. Maybe it's 70%, maybe it's 68%, maybe it's 65%, maybe it's 80%. I don't know. And then what the down payment is and what you do with the down payment. If you go ahead and apply it to the underlying loan, well, that reduces, that loan. Or if you, pocket it, that affects it as well, for sure. Facebook user, not sure if someone has already asked this, but how could I wholesale an owner finance deal? Great question. You talk to me. So wholesaling is nothing more than contract assignments. That's really what wholesaling is. At the end of the day, that's what wholesaling is. So you can wholesale or assign a cash deal. You can assign a lease option. You can assign a term offer. You can assign a seller finance deal. You can assign a rock in a river. Wholesaling is nothing more than assigning. So your job as a wholesaler is to become educated as to what would make an attractive owner finance deal. Go ahead, put it together and assign it for a fee. Wholesale it to me. Or to anyone in your market. Do not assign owner finance transactions to end user owner occupants. Do not assign them to consumers. That's how you end up in an orange jumpsuit. Only assigned to investors. Chevelle, so many questions. I have been wanting to ask them for a while, and last week I was sick, a lot of pain I couldn't get on your live event. Also, when you have questions, I try not to distract with questions that don't pertain to the subject being discussed. Bro, this is an open forum. You're a friend of the group. Just ask away. Put the questions in the group, and then I go ahead and have my VA kind of pick out, some really nice, interesting questions. Guys, those are the questions that you guys asked. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you guys. Again, the goal is to get to 10,000 members. If you find value in the group, if you find value in me coming on live without a haircut, please like it, share it, comment it, post it, share it on your personal pages. Tag the group so I know that you guys shared it. Owner Finance, Your Way to Freedom. It makes my day when I see my tags everywhere. And let's increase the group. For those who are interested in the owner finance training, just hit me up on the DMs. You'll be blown away with it. I'm absolutely certain of that. I hope you guys have a great one. I look forward to an awesome, productive week, and I hope you guys have a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.